Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Build with Stakki. This week we have one of our good partners, Orum, and one of their team leaders who is Connor Godbout. Said that right?
Yep.
Connor Godbout, growth sales manager over at Orum, based out of the States. Like to introduce yourself, Connor. Tell us a little bit maybe about your background, sort of the team you work with, and what you do.
Yeah. Great to be here, James. And I've been over here at Orum just over three years now, 3.5 years. Actually came in at the ground floor as an SDR 3
Yeah,
years ago. Previously a mortgage banker, loan officer, helping people buy and refinance homes. Saw kind of the writing on the wall in the industry there with interest rates going up.
yeah,
Thought it would be a good time to break into SaaS. So I came over here to Orum, leverage the platform, and it was really a key to my success in making it to AE within 7 months of joining.
nice.
And then was in the AE role for a couple of years. Saw a ton of success there. Obviously, Orum helping me in that role with sourcing opportunities as an AE, but really got to learn kind of the full stack of Orum and for hundreds of orgs what they're out there using today. And then just recently this year, went into the growth sales manager role. So I'm leading a team of reps over here, full cycle,
Mm.
um, you know, self-sourcing as well as receiving inbounds here. But been in this role for about 4 months now,
Yeah,
and just got my first full quarter under my belt. So
nice. Good.
excited to see the team rocking and rolling as well.
Good stuff. Great story there as well. Mortgage and mortgage advisory and mortgage loans to SDR. 7 months to AE. Most people would like bite your hand off to do that when they and now running your own full cycle team, which is excellent. Really cool to see. Which I'm sure we'll get into after we've done our sort of build with Stakki. But there's a
Yeah,
lot of debate these days around the SDR team versus full cycle. How is AI like reshaping that? So I'm sure you'll be able to give us like some good insight into that.
yeah.
Before we get into all of that though, let's do our build with Stakki and get an understanding of like what that foundation, why you've picked some of the tools that you guys have picked and what you're using. So if I just pull up my screen. So Connor, what's as a starting point, what's like the foundation for your team? What's the CRM that you guys are using? Hopefully, it's one of these.
Yeah, real shocker. Salesforce over here for CRM.
Excellent. Obviously, you guys sort of enterprise sales for a large part of it. We're a big team, lots of sales teams within the organization. Salesforce, really powerful CRM.
Mhm.
What other tools then are you using from sort of like how do you build lists? How do you find the accounts, and then what data tools are you using to I guess fill that?
So from a research perspective, first we've actually uh, worked with a ton of tools in the market, but that's one of the benefits of being a top of funnel solution is,
Of course.
um, we get to partner with a lot of organizations that leverage these, but also test a lot of them ourselves. So on the research side of things, um, Apollo, SalesNav, Zoom Info, Lead IQ are all leveraged
Yeah.
in different capacities here at Orum. Um, and from a data perspective as well, we actually leverage our own platform for some supplemental data when
Yeah.
it comes to phones specifically.
Yeah.
Um, but from a research and data perspective, those are where we're typically starting as a team, as well as making sure we're subscribing to all the latest newsletters as well. That tends to be some free prospecting for you if you just got a
Yeah.
nice little newsletter coming in your email
Yeah.
inbox
Of course.
every day.
Interesting. So, have you guys explored anything like using Clay at all, and sort of the waterfall enrichment that comes with
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So Clay is something we've been leveraging over the last year a lot more from in a full cycle AE team perspective.
Yeah.
Super helpful for enriching a ton of prospects at once, but also just getting that account research a little bit more streamlined for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Clay is like so powerful these days, right? And I think we've got a small bug here. It should also be showing up in these other categories because it can obviously, depending on how you configure it, give you so much insight, so much intelligent stuff. And looking forward to maybe getting into the weeds of it with you a little bit more. But you've got full cycle AEs. Clay can be a pretty powerful tool if you have someone setting it up for them to just support them.
Yes. Yeah. Our RevOps team has done a lot of the Lord's work there and setting up
Yeah.
for us over
as,
here.
as it should be. I think where companies going wrong is they're giving Clay to the SDR or to the AE and saying, use this will sort things, and then they're getting it's just distracting. It's taking away from the work you want them to be doing. You want your guys to be talking to prospects, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. You haven't got maybe like a Zoom info or a Cognizant or anything?
Oh yeah, yeah.
For
Zoom info and Lead IQ
Yeah.
For the data side of things. Yeah.
Of course, Zoom info, one of the big vendors, big players still. I imagine you guys probably have some like partnerships and stuff with them as well, which maybe helps get some of the access to that data. I'd maybe recommend checking out something like Upsell, or maybe something like SalesBot as well.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of tests recently where SalesBot is not wiping the floor with Zoom info, but setting up a lot more data and a lot more accuracy. Same with Upsell. So maybe worth considering. Intent tools. Do you layer in some intent tools into any of this, or?
Yeah. So we actually have great partnerships with like 6sense and UserGems over here at Orum. So just in terms of intent, we also take a look at the data that we have in our system as well. Mm-hmm. Like most platforms today have some sort of automated prospecting or something you can leverage with either ChatGPT or Gemini right out there. So in combination with tools like UserGems, 6sense, and the own data that your team is putting into the system, that can really give you a great kind of map of your accounts and help your team identify those strongest accounts as well.
100%. When I think intent has maybe been missold a little bit over the last several years, or last few years, and you're right, like the own data in your own CRM and the volume of conversations that you might have had with accounts, their connections, if everything's tracked properly, it's probably going to be plenty of intent and stuff within there that, if it's pulled together, you guys can make best use of, follow up on, and get insight from, right?
Yeah. My original VP of Sales Dev, when I first joined Orum, he said, do all the things that will make your life easier when you're an AE eventually as an SDR, right? That starts with marking a number as valid or invalid in the system.
Yeah, exactly. The basics of like good list hygiene, good follow-up processes, good note-taking.
Yep.
And then from the engagement perspective and your actual doing the outreach, I imagine obviously Orum is the dialer of choice.
Yeah.
We'll get into more into the details, but some of the stuff that I've seen from you guys recently, the way you are building more of your, it's not just white label of something like Twilio, like maybe some competitors. It's your own infrastructure. You're building that out more and more. You've got I think I've got conversational AI in there as well, so reps can do more role play, more practice.
Yep.
You can upskill. Like what are the things, or I guess what are your own features that you guys just can't live without, like you using it all the time?
Yeah. So this is something that actually has always excited me since I started at Orum. A few years ago, we were primarily an automated dialing platform, right? Like get you into more conversations, figure out how you can do it. And since we've been around here for 6 years in the space now, we processed 1 billion calls, 1.5 million more every day. There's actually a lot of intent data inside Orum that we leverage after we've gone through this process that we just walked through with Stakki, where we have functionalities in Orum like Boost Connect for dynamic local presence, where it's not just matching that local number, but really factoring in what numbers are you picking up for, and matching that caller ID in that sense. And then number temperature is another one, which is basically intent data baked into the calling platform, where you're seeing those prospects that are most likely to pick up on your list, so you can prioritize connections during the best time to call during the day. So it really helps kind of guide reps as they're getting into actually conduct their activity into where you can best focus those efforts, even as
Yeah,
you're calling.
yeah,
Um, so outside, that's for rep perspective, and for me, analytics in Orum really helps me ensuring that my team is reaching out to the right number of prospects at each account, that we're seeing the right conversion metrics down funnel, as
yeah,
well even from just the top of funnel perspective.
yeah, absolutely. Those and like those the little features which on the I think you call it number temperature or prospect
Yep.
temperature.
Yep.
Like those are the little things that are gonna make calling connection rates all that little bit easier, a little bit more consistent for, in your case, full cycle reps, and that their time is precious. They want to know I'm going to my list, I know where to focus, I'm getting the most bang for my buck. I've got
Yep.
half an hour between meetings, I've got 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. You can just switch into Orum and get going. That's the real benefit of it. And I guess the other thing to point out from like my perspective, you've got multiple data sources here. You're using LinkedIn, which is like one of the best, one of the best databases for obvious reasons. Zoom Info for a lot of extra coverage, Apollo for a lot of coverage, and then Clay, maybe where you're sort of, I guess, maybe doing some list building, maybe cleansing, maybe just cross referencing, and then you're using the internal like intent with Orum. You're probably giving the team really good, really clean lists, so they have confidence in it, so they can make use of the power dialer or the parallel dialing functionality.
Yes.
Where I see other teams go wrong, we need more pipeline, so we need more conversations. So let's get loads more data, and just or let's get a parallel dialer.
Yep.
But if you're just chucking more in and just doing more reps, okay, you will get more conversations eventually, or you will get more conversations, but you're still not making the best use of that data, and you're wasting a lot of time, a lot of focus. You're not helping the reps increase their confidence in the activity they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You put good in, you get good out, and that starts with investing
Yeah,
at the top. Like you're saying, James, right? Like before the team ever gets to the activity portion, we've already gone through so many layers to make sure they have that right data in the system.
exactly. And then curious, are you using? Do you have some multi-channel tools? Any like email automation or LinkedIn automation stuff? Are you guys 99% of the time on the phone? And
No, so we leverage outreach for like engagement in terms of sequencing
Mhm.
platforms. So we're leveraging them, and we're typically going to be doing like a manual first email step
Yeah,
in making sure we're doing our research. Um, we've also been working with UserGems has their new tool Gemi for email writing,
yeah.
which is really helpful for our SDR team particularly
Mm-hmm.
um, at Orum. And then I know a lot of my reps are just leveraging like we use G Suite and we have Gemini uh, built in with that. So I'm
Yeah,
seeing more and more reps are leaning into leveraging like, hey, here's a prompt I already made for research on a prospect. You just put in their name and LinkedIn URL, and bam,
yeah,
you got all your research right there. So a combination of those tools, and then reps leaning into what we have available to them to work smarter and harder, but
yeah,
smart first at the end of the day.
yeah. Of course, really good. Like I'm still on our backlog of getting outreach on here and user gems, but both great tools. Um, in EMEA, this side of the pond, I'm seeing less outreach, and SalesLoft I think is doing a bit better
Yeah,
over here. It's more common,
yeah.
but in the States, outreach still a massive player. And, close second over here.
Mhm.
Are there any other tools then in your setup which maybe like I've missed or we haven't um, maybe added yet? But I think this is with the addition of user gems and outreach, this looks
Yeah,
like I think the full stack. Or is there
yeah.
anything that you guys are using which we've missed?
I would say that's the full stack. Beyond anything we've talked about, I do think there's always going to be a certain intangible element of your stack, in that
Yeah,
you got to make sure the team knows how to use everything properly. I think even as an individual contributor, at Orum, but my philosophy was always very big on you have all these incredible tools at your disposal, and a lot of times the tendency is to get really, really complicated with all these things,
Yeah,
and make your day so complex where, if you can really structure it and leverage the automation properly, you don't need to have 10 million spreadsheets of everything out there, right? Like
yeah,
Salesforce is keeping you organized. You got your data coming into the system. There's a certain element of trust in the tech stack that I find that is difficult to have sometimes
hmm
for teams, and really making sure that folks understand how to use all these tools as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like the tools are only as good as like user adoption, trust in the tools, understanding of like sales processes. Like you said before, like when you're in SDR, your VP said, do the things now that will help you when you're in AE. Mark
Yep.
that number as valid, put the right note in, mark like timestamp when you're going to follow up. And what I like about this stack here is pretty good, like enterprise kind of level stack, but it's most of the people we speak to on here. I was looking at this before. The average number of tools is 5.6 for an SDR team or an outbound sales team,
Mm-hmm.
not the 10, 15, 20 that people will have you believe if you scroll through LinkedIn for too long.
Yeah.
It's CRM, a few good data options, maybe an enablement tool, and a dialer.
Yep.
And or there's always a dialer, but then also maybe like an engagement tool, and that gives you your five. You need data going to the right place, you need CRM set up correctly, and then you need a mode of outreach, Orum, and also for you outreach, and that runs consistently and gives your teams everything they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we're seeing here too, James, like we've gone through all these, there's so many options for each tool. And
Yeah,
even as a salesperson, my belief at the end of the day is like, hey, it should be about what's the best fit for your org, and you don't need,
100%.
to your point, 20 tools. You need the right tools and the best tools and what you're going to use.
Yeah, and that gives you back, like you said, you don't want loads of spreadsheets like that. That slows everything down, distracts people, makes your job as like the manager much harder because
Yeah.
it's harder to know what people are doing, which means then it's harder for you to actually coach and give back to them. And that's what you want to be doing. I'm sure that's probably part of the reason most of us go into like sales leadership and management is because we enjoy that element of helping the rest of the team upskill.
Yes.
So you want good analytics, good dashboard, which is what you mentioned. Orum gives you with all of the dialing insights, call insights, probably transcriptions, etc.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of insight into what the team is doing top funnel. Where if I don't have that visibility, I think, and that's the biggest piece of coaching that most managers are missing is like, if you ain't seeing it, it's not happening. And the question then becomes, how can I get more visibility and more insights so that I can then take the action from
Yeah,
there and empower my team.
absolutely. On that point, you going from that like SDR to AE in 7 months, and then now managing like a team of full cycle people. What are there like key data points or key analytics that you would suggest every manager or every leader like needs to make sure they have clear insight into? What are like, maybe like your top two, three?
And is this speaking specifically from like an outbound perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, I would say first and foremost, like at Orum, we don't have necessarily like a dialing KPI here, right? Uh,
Okay.
Net new prospects is what we're focused on
Mm-hmm.
here. So are you getting enough net new contacts into a sequence cadence every single day
Mm-hmm.
to sustain your pipeline when it comes to your calling efforts, your email efforts? So
Yeah.
that's where we always start here is, are you getting your 20 to 30 prospects into a
Yeah.
sequence every day?
Yeah.
And that allows us, we've done a ton of math of sales here at Orum. So what we're able to tell our reps is, hey, if you do this with your prospects, you get that email out every single day, and then you just go into Orum to make those calls, you're going to hit your number if you leverage all the tools and automation in the
Yeah.
stack on that. So that's like where we start for our team is, hey, research and getting those prospects into sequence from there. After that, we really focus on conversion metrics down funnel, right? So
Yeah.
your email reply rates, especially on that first first email, right? You want to make sure that you're above a certain percentage for your industry. And then when it comes to the phones, we're taking a look at, first and foremost, you got to have activity to get conversations. But once you're connecting with prospects, are you keeping them on the phone longer than a minute?
Yeah.
Right? Can you keep somebody there talking to you, and then once you keep them on the phone, are you then converting that into a meeting from there?
Yeah.
And those are metrics we've seen kind of stay consistent across industries and verticals, even for the last 3 years that I've been here at Orum. Like most orgs are striving for the same conversion rates there, and it's just a matter of honing in on that math of sales for them as well.
Yeah. Such good points there, and to walk through that. But the one I want to start on is that new prospects. Like, actually, how many new prospects are you sourcing and adding in? The number of times, I think everyone knows that I'll never a dialing KPI, or most companies anyway. 50 dials a day, 100 dials a day, whatever it might be for the SDRs.
Yeah,
the SDRs are so focused on need to make this number of dials, need to make this number of dials. So, but if you're making that same number of dials into that same list, and it's been 3 months, there is not going to be any change or movement. Yeah. There is a like a dwindling return on that effort, right?
Yeah.
So you have to know how many new prospects do I need to source every month and add to my list, and then how many, and then that's where you said conversion. How much effort then do I need to do into that new list to create a consistent pipeline? And the number of times people, that's why I really like that. That was the first one you said, new prospects. How many new prospects am I actually adding? Because that's actually going out and finding people to engage with, and it's so overlooked.
Yeah, and that's where shout out to Airly, our SDR manager here at Orum. She gave this piece of advice to our SDR team, and I took it to my team, which is even simplify it from there. Of like, hey, it's a 1, 2, 3 rule. You take one account, you find 2 departments, 3 prospects from each department. Really try to simplify it for yourself as much as possible to locate those contacts as well.
Yeah, rule of thumb that I've always said. It's great that we have such similar metrics and ideas on this, because we didn't know that before. But I say to every single person that I worked with, it's like, as a rule of thumb, you need to find like 3 to 5 contacts within an account.
Yeah.
And you need to try and speak to, before you like determine like where that account should sit, or if there's no opportunity, or when you should follow up, you need to speak to at least 3 of them. And that will mean that you do a very good job through all of your accounts, through all of your lists, and you generate more follow-ups.
Yeah. I've had many a conversation when I was an SDR with one prospect on an account who said, nobody here calls at all. And then you call somebody else, and all of a sudden you got a full calling culture going on.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take, the first prospect's response or answer or engagement level as like gospel for the rest of the company. And that's where too often I see people do that. So great advice from your SDR manager there as well. And then one of the other metrics you mentioned was how many of the call, like the conversion metrics, yes, but then how many of those conversations actually last over a minute? Again, something that particularly maybe like from like startup scale ups, maybe like younger SDR managers who are only managing like their first teams. If you measure the length of the conversations and then obviously the outcomes as well, that gives you an indication of quality and like effort on the phone. Are your team, like, you can't just, I can make 100 dials, if they're all under 10 seconds, then I'm just trying to hit that KPI and pull the wool over your eyes. How many of them are actually resulting in conversations that last for several minutes or get you somewhere?
Yeah, and I've been with sales organizations in the past where it was like, hey, we either have good reps or we have bad reps, and it's one or the other. But what I really like about this kind of focus is the net new prospects is the one thing I can't teach anybody at the end of the day is activity, right? Like the effort you're putting in, that's going to be the effort you put in. But once we start to move further along the funnel with the connect to conversation, that's where we can hone in of, okay, if you're not keeping people on the phone, that's something we can coach you on. It could be your energy going into a call. It could be, your opener's just falling a little flat, whatever it is. If you're willing to lean into it, it's something that always helped me. My first day on the phones, I was not very good. So that's where you're starting to hone in on those pieces of the puzzle of like, okay, we're seeing this issue here. We know that has to do with opener, your hook, something's going on
Yeah,
in that piece of the puzzle.
yeah, exactly. And then interest, like one thing I'd love to understand and just get your views on, because I see a lot of this debate on LinkedIn, but where it's SDR team to AE team. Now you've got go to market engineer to AE, or go to market engineer to SDR to AE, or you've got, let's get full cycle reps in. And you mentioned you went SDR to AE, but now you manage a full cycle team. Where should someone consider maybe like a full cycle AE team versus SDR to AE? Do you have like strong opinions or advice for people trying to make that call?
So I don't necessarily have strong opinions one way or another because I do think that every industry and vertical is going to be a little different. We are starting to see more of a trend out there where more teams are shifting more towards, hey, if I can get my AEs the efficiency that they need, then they're going to be best equipped to have the conversations on the phone, which I think is partially true, but your SDR team is also the talent pool for your organization at the end of the day. So I really love that role and have a lot of respect for it in that it is the front line of a sales team. You're not just booking meetings, you're qualifying accounts, right? You're really representing the organization in its truest form. So I do think the SDR teams can kind of be a heart of an organization because it's usually somebody early on in their career coming in, they're hungry, they want to prove themselves, and they're bringing their personality to your org as well. But um, one piece of advice I have for any account executive out there is, regardless of whether you're partnered with an SDR or not, the best AEs know how to self source pipeline because my view at the end of the day is as an AE, I'm responsible for my pipeline. If I don't have enough, whether it's inbounds, my SDR isn't feeding me. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is my pipeline. So if I can self source, everything else I get over top of that is is gold, right? And that's how you really start to get ahead of your number and you have a ton of fun on the sales side of things. Um, but my team in the growth role, we're more focused on the SMB side of things. So it makes a little bit more sense for us to have more of that self sourcing, right? And it's going to be uh, AEs who this is probably coming into their first AE role. Um, so really kind of honing in on those basic foundation skills for an account executive. Um, but then if you look at like our commercial and our enterprise team, every single one of those AEs is partnered with an SDR. Um, so my stance on it is really like I think a hybrid within the organization, so you can hit all your verticals, but make sure you have a good talent pool.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a little biased because my team gets fed for the SDR team. I get to pick the SDRs that come up, but um, that's my take on self sourcing full cycle versus
Yeah.
being part of it in SDR. I think there are benefits to both, and you get up leveled the most when you're self sourcing too.
Interesting. I think that's a really nice, well-rounded answer to where people can I guess consider like, is it better for them to go have it the SDR to AE model, or is it full cycles? And maybe just reading between the lines a little bit, it's more where it's SMB, it's growth. It makes probably more sense for the full cycle, and then it's probably enterprise, larger deal cycles, larger, longer sales cycles where you probably do want that SDR to AE relationship, right?
Depending on what your org's definitions are of SMB versus commercial, right? Like I think any organization, once you get really above like 250 employees, if you just have one person working that account, it's tough for one person to even filter through 250 employees on one account, let alone on your let's say you have 100 accounts in your territory, right? You're doing that 100 times over. It's just a lot of work for one person too.
Exactly, and it goes back to um, knowing the data, knowing the analytics, knowing your conversions, knowing how many prospects there are to put in to the lists each day, and how do we work that? What's the best use of time? And that starts to help paint that picture of like, where should that cutoff be when I go from maybe full cycle to SDR. plus AE and stuff like that, right? The other point you made was the SDRs are like the talent pool for the future of your SDR of your sales org as a whole, and I think that is like something that is getting overlooked these days a lot of the time when it's people see a lot of noise about go-to-market engineers. That's the new role. Everyone needs a go-to-market engineer, and then that will just feed your AE team. It's like, yeah, to a point, but where are you then? That means you then, when you want to grow that sales team, are you gonna ask the go-to-market engineer who's learned all the fiddly technical stuff about AI workflows and stuff like that? You're gonna ask them to step into an AE role and start learning to sell without the SDR bridging that, or are you gonna just hire really senior AEs and everyone's then going to just be fighting for AEs and we're going to lose maybe some of the SDR stuff? I'm not sure which way that's going to go yet, but the SDR talent is the future of your org.
I mean, you look at like you don't stick around for 3 years at a startup for no reason, right? Like the culture here is a big part of it for me, and I think it starts with our SDR team. You look at our CEO, founded the SDR team at Rubrik. Like it's kind of in our lifeblood, so obviously it would make sense for us. But every organization, when I visit them and I get to meet their SDR team, see their SDR leaders, they really are tend to be the most fun people at an organization. Yeah. but really just like are eager to learn and find out how they can best sell their product at the end of the day, which I have a lot of respect for too.
Absolutely, and that's the foundation of, I guess, why I guess you're proof of why we wanted to partner with Orum. You actually believe in the SDR, the outbound function. You guys live by what you are selling to other sales teams, which can't always be said for a lot of sales vendors out there these days. So great talking to you, Connor. Love getting some insight on what it's like managing the full cycle team and some of that direction. If people want to talk to you, learn a bit more about Orum, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an old head out here, so LinkedIn's probably the best place to find me. I don't have a Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. So Connor Godbout, find me on LinkedIn. My email is connor.godbout@orum.com. I always welcome some cold email outreach as well. So
excellent.
Always happy to be hit up there too.
Great stuff. Well, pleasure having you on. Thanks for sharing some of your insights. Everyone, if you can subscribe to Build with Stakki on YouTube and follow for more conversations.